Welcome back to WVTM 13 News at 4, continuing our Commitment 2022 coverage this afternoon, taking a look at some of the issues that you may be talking about as you make your decisions before you go to the March or to the May primary, which is happening now in just about 6 weeks. Dr. Marissa Grayson, a political science professor at Samford, joins us once again this afternoon talking about some of those issues. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
We're talking about polls, first things first, and we've seen a number of different polls over the last few weeks, specifically to the Senate race. What should folks keep in mind when they're looking at these numbers?
Sure. So the polls are going to fluctuate. Also, a lot of the polls are done by the consulting firms that the candidates have hired. They have different names to them, so people don't always realize that that's the case. But the polling is helping kind of send a signal to voters about who has the upper hand. So I think a lot of people have been paying much more attention to Mike Durant than they were 3 weeks ago, and it was because the polls showed that actually he was one of the top 2 contenders, if not the top contender.
You mentioned Mike Durant. You know, he, along with Katie Britt, both going for the president's endorsement at this point after the president pulled the endorsement from Mo Brooks a few weeks back. What role are we looking at that Trump could possibly play in the Senate race?
Sure. So I think, especially for this race, the Trump endorsement can be important, not just because he supports the candidates, but because it may bring some extra voters out knowing that he has endorsed them. And there aren't that many people who show up in the primaries compared to the November election, so every vote's going to count, especially when the candidates are trying to not have to go into a runoff. And that endorsement's important for a couple of reasons. All of the candidates are trying to show how different they are from the Biden administration, and being able to not just show, look, we don't support the efforts of the Biden administration, but we support who is still being seen as the party leader for Republicans. We have that support through endorsements important.
And what have we seen in other states where the president has made an endorsement? How has that determined, an outcome or played a factor?
Well, he hasn't gotten all of them right. We do know that. I think he's being a little bit more selective this year. So he learned, Mo Brooks was not leading in the polls. Maybe I need to go a different direction, rescinded that endorsement. I don't think he wants to be doing that. Again, he'd rather get it right, which is why he's taking his time right now, and may even end up saying, I'm good with either of the candidates, Mike Durant or Katie Britt, and not give an official endorsement.
And we saw back in 2017 in the special election, the Senate race, the role that he played. Kind of remind folks what that looked like.
Yeah, so in that case, that didn't really work in his favor, and didn't really help him as far as being supportive.
When we look ahead and look at the candidates for Senate, how much are we going to see them running against one another in a primary or running against the White House?
Well, back to this question on polls, I think it partially depends how close the polls are as far as running against each other. Right now, for example, we are seeing Mo Brooks try to hit Mike Durant and Katie Britt from every direction they can, calling Mike Durant a never Trumper, Katie Britt an actual liberal, that she's not conservative, and that's because he's behind in the polls, where the other candidates are still trying to get their messaging out. First of all, they don't have the same name recognition that Mo Brooks does, but also when you're in the lead, you don't have to go negative as much.
A lot to get to in the weeks ahead, Dr. Grayson. We appreciate you stopping by and your insight as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And as always, we've got you covered here on air. Also, look for more candidate profiles, information on how you can find your polling place. We've got you covered leading up to the May primary. One place, WVTM13.com and the WVTM 13 app.